So one request I've been getting here at the channel, my fellow agents, is to highlight a few of my favorite skill builds to use in the game. Now for the record, these are builds that I use on legendary content in the summit, and if I'm running around the open world, let's say I'm hitting up heroic control points, these will absolutely decimate enemies left and right. Now with that being said, in today's video I will be highlighting two different builds. I will leave a timestamp in the video description. As always, we're going to jump right into the details. If you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out. And if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now starting with the specialization, we're using Technician. We're doing that for a few main reasons. First of all, it does give you an extra skill tier, which means I do have the option of changing one of the core attributes on another piece of gear to weapon damage or armor. You also get an extra 12% damage bonus to drone, skill proxies, and robotics, which you will run into all the time on legendary content. You have access to the Talent Overclock CPU that will give you an extra 10% skill damage bonus as well. And always remember, regardless of the specialization you may choose, always make sure to have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. But in my opinion, you definitely want to use this specialization. Now making our way to the build itself, you can see for my primary weapon, I'm using the Harmony Rifle. Now this happens to be my go-to weapon with a skill build, and the reason for that is because it has the talent perfectly in sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds as well. And not only that, damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. Now this happens to be a PvP exclusive. You can also get it from name caches. And for those of you out there who may not have this, in the meantime, I recommend using your favorite rifle with the regular talent in sync. I can promise you that will still get the job done. Now moving on to the secondary, it's the Capacitor. This is easily one of the best exotics in the game, especially for a skill build. This happens to be in the general loot pool. I recommend hitting up Countdown, set your targeted loot to Assault Rifle. Wish you nothing but the best of luck. You can see it has the talent Capacitance. And once again, and this is for those of you out there who may not have the Capacitor, I recommend using the Test Subject because that Assault Rifle also has the talent perfectly in sync. That is in the general loot pool. That's much easier to farm for, and I will go over a few farming details at the end of the video. Now the one thing I'd like to mention in regard to my sidearm is you can see I'm using the TDI card custom and this has a skill tier. But for the record, the skill tier is only active when you are actually holding that weapon, so please take that into account when you're putting your build together. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm running 3 Empress International, 1 Murakami, the Waveform holster, and 1 piece of Wyvern, which is what we're starting with. That is going to give us an extra 8% skill damage bonus. Now moving on to the body armor, it's the first of 3 pieces of Empress. We're running those so we get all of the brand set bonuses, and as you can see, that's 10% skill health, 10% skill damage, and 8% skill efficiency. And I'm running with a Talent Glass Cannon. All damage you deal is amplified by 25%, however all damage you take is amplified by 50%. Now I know a lot of players out there do not like this talent, so if you want to use the Talent Kinetic Momentum, it's another great one for skill builds. I recommend using that. Next, my fellow agents, we have the holster. You can see it is the exotic holster, the Waveform, and the reason this is so effective is because of its talent alternating current. Generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping at 10 stacks. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stacks transfer to the other skill. The process then repeats non-stop. One of the best exotics in the game. It is in the general loot pool. Recommend hitting up Countdown, set your targeted loot to holsters. Next we have the knee pads. It's the 1 piece of Murakami, and these happen to be the named knee pads Emperor's Guard, and the reason they're so effective is because of that middle attribute 1% armor regen. I like having that because this build is a little bit squishy. If you do not have these, again they are a PvP exclusive. You can also get them from name caches. Feel free to use a regular piece of Murakami in its place. Last but not least, my friends, we have the gloves and the backpack. They are the final 2 pieces of the Empress International. 2 things to mention really quick. First of all, you will notice that on every single piece of gear, I'm stacking a combination of skill damage and either skill haste and or skill duration everywhere I can. When it comes to the talent on the bag, I'm using the Talent Tech Support. And as you can see with that talent, skill kills are going to increase total skill damage by 25% for 25 seconds. That is an absolute lifetime in this game. You're going to be shredding everything left and right. As far as my skills are concerned, you can see I'm using one of my favorite combinations in the game, and that is the Assault Drone and the Assault Turret, but if you want to use something else, you totally can. I also like to mention that when it comes to this build, I am not turning on any global modifiers, and the reason for that is I want you to know, regardless of when you may see this is how the build is going to perform without any special events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Now my primary for this build is the Harmony rifle because of its talent perfectly in sync, and this just happens to be my go-to weapon when it comes to a skill build. Now if you do not have this weapon, you can use any other rifle with the regular talent in sync. I can promise you that can still get the job done. And if you are trying to pick it up, it is a PvP exclusive, but you can also get it from name caches. Now my secondary is the capacitor. As I've said in previous videos, this is a must-have exotic. Now thankfully this is in the general loot pool. Another option if you don't have this weapon is the test subject that also has the talent perfectly in sync, and if you are trying to get the capacitor, I recommend hitting up the summit or countdown, set your targeted loot to assault rifle, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Now when it comes to your sidearm, one thing I like to highlight anytime I put a skill build together is if you happen to use the TDI card custom, which does have a skill tier, always remember that skill tier is only going to be active when you're actually using the weapon. It needs to be in your hand, so please make sure you take that into consideration anytime you're putting a skill build together. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm running 2 Hana U and 4 REFACTOR, and as I've said previously, for those of you out there who need a little more survivability, this may be the gear set for you. Anyway, running 4 so we get all of the gear set bonuses, 2 pieces 15% status effect, 3 pieces 25% skill damage, and 4 pieces return to sender where you're going to receive repairs of 10% of the damage dealt by your skills, and your allies are going to receive 20% of the damage dealt by your skills as well. So it's great for solo or in a group, and I know for a lot of players out there, let's say you've been struggling between challenging and heroic or heroic and legendary. This could be one of those gear sets, as I was mentioning earlier, that could help you actually get past something you've been struggling with for a while. Now moving on to the body armor, it's the first of 2 pieces of Hana U. Now you can see the 2 pieces are going to give us 10% skill haste and 10% skill damage. And one thing you'll notice is on every single piece of gear, I'm going to stack skill damage and a combination of skill haste or skill duration everywhere I can. Now, as far as my talent is concerned, I'm using Glass Cannon. All damage you deal is amplified by 25%, and all damage you take is amplified by 50%. And in both the comments sections of the previous videos I posted around this gear set, which again I will leave a link to in the video description, everyone said run 2 Hana U, do Glass Cannon and Perfect Combined Arms, which we'll get to in a second. Y'all were right. It's absolutely f***ing lights out. It's so much damn fun. Anyway, now we have the holster, the knee pads, and the gloves. 3 final pieces of the Refactor gear set. Last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack, which is that second piece of Hana U. We are using the name bag Force Multiplier. It does have the talent Perfectly Combined Arms. Again, it's one of the best talents in the game for a skill build. And as we wrap this portion of the video up, please remember that this is just a template. This is one of so many different ways you can run with a build like this. The most important thing is to truly take your time, make a build your own, try out different variations. As far as my skills are concerned, I'm using my 2 favorite in the game, and that is the Assault Drone and the Assault Turret because I just like the way they handle. But again, if you prefer something else, use that instead, my fellow agents. Hope this video helped you out, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and commentary. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. It is Saturday morning. We're getting ready to run out the door for Costco. What do y'all got planned for this weekend? For me, it's Costco and stuff around the house. Gonna go spend way too much money. All right, 2 things really quick. First of all, when it comes to the capacitor, if you've never gotten it before, you can complete certain summit challenges and it's a guaranteed drop, so you can do that, but that's only for people who have never picked up the weapon. And secondly, when it comes to this gear set, I know a lot of people out there are very reluctant to even jump into legendary content, but this is one of those gear sets in the game that can really change the ability for players to do things they've never done before. And obviously the gear set I'm referring to is the Refactor gear set. This is the build you're looking at right now. The first one was the one with the waveform, all that other stuff. This one's Refactor. So I recommend trying it out, especially if you've never really given it a shot. You know, who knows? Maybe you'll enjoy it. Anyway, my friends, that's all I got for this one. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next.